Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. If you guys were paying attention in the Legend video, you may have noticed I got the HUNDO PIKACHU LIBRE after my post-Legend set, and I had one option remaining. I'm not done for this season. We're going to run it, and we're going to see what PIKACHU LIBRE, with the very good charge move of Flying Press, is able to do in the Open Great League. Now, spoiler alert, this is not only not a Pokemon I wouldn't recommend for climbing, it's not a Pokemon I would recommend for fun either. This was not a fun experience. Nevertheless, we are actually going to see a pretty decent lead for the PIKACHU LIBRE, as it is going to lead into Morpeko. Morpeko firing off a move on 4 here. I risked it all. If that was a Seed Bomb, I would have been in a very bad spot, but instead, it was a Psychic Fangs. Now, PIKACHU LIBRE can live one Psychic Fangs, but as you saw, it did about 50%, and although Morpeko's pretty attack weighted, that is not a good start for the Libre. They are going to fire off another move. I will go down to another Psychic Fangs without grabbing their second shield, so I am going to need to shield this move up, and now under tap my Flying Press. Flying Press here should guarantee a shield because Morpeko most likely does not want to no shield a Flying Press, and now they are going to be able to reach a third Psychic Fangs, but we will win the 2-shield scenario here if they don't switch out. They are going to go for the Psychic Fangs once again, but they don't have enough residual energy for another move, so they're forced to pivot out into an Azumarill. However, you may think that an electric type into the water type gonna be a pretty good time. Absolutely not. PIKACHU LIBRE with that Thunder Punch did about 25% to the Azu, and we are in so much pain. We're going to switch into our Lapras. This is a Hydro Pump Azumarill. I'm very confused. I'm going to undercharge my Skull Bash here because I need to leave with as much energy as possible to threaten the Morpeko if it does come back in. And they are going to look to be able to make another move here. They're going to bring in Serperior. Serperior is not going to have a very good time. Once they see what our third Pokemon is, Skull Bash is going to connect, and we are going to bank the Sparkling Aria for later, and now bring in Jumpluff. Jumpluff able to catch the Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant not going to do a lot of damage onto the Jumpluff. We can get rid of this Serperior here, but we can't afford to do that just yet. We have to keep energy. The Morpeko can come back in at any time, and we only have resisted flying moves to throw at it. So I'm going to throw the Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace onto the Serperior would have KO'd about like 14 Fairy Winds ago, but nevertheless, Azu comes back in. I have to undertap an Aerial Ace on this as well, because if they threw a Hydro Pump at the Lapras, it's very unlikely that they have Play Rough. They're likely on Ice Beam and Hydro Pump, and as soon as we undertap the Aerial Ace, this trainer realizes this game is a top leftable offense, so we are going to get the 3-ball flex up against this team. Starting things off with a win is a good look for PIKACHU LIBRE, but not a realistic one. We are going to see a Feraligatr lead, and we do have a pacing advantage up against Feraligatr. We're 5-4 to our Thunder Punches, whereas Feraligatr is straight 5 to Hydro Cannon, and we are going to switch out, attempting to catch of a potential Hydro Cannon. Unfortunately, all we catch is a Serperior switch into our Lapras. However, PIKACHU LIBRE is probably worse here, to be completely honest, so it's a good thing that we can shield up our Lapras. Bait that we have the Ice Beam, and Serperior does not want to no-shield the Ice Beam, so we are going to be able to successfully get off a Skull Bash, and now I don't think I'm going to live this Frenzy Plant anyway. No, we absolutely do not, but we're going to be able to bring in Jumpluff, and Jumpluff is such a good answer to Serperior. They are going to fire off a move at the Jumpluff. It's a left Tyrando with no debuff. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, Jumpluff is likely going to get left Tyrando debuffed on this second one. Yep, the coin flips heads the second time, and now we are going to fire off an Aerial Ace at the Serperior. It is not yet enough to KO, but we take the energy lead with our PIKACHU LIBRE. Unfortunately, I hard lock the PIKACHU LIBRE, and they're going to be able to grab my last shield with their Feraligatr. I don't know what's in back, but I probably can't beat it, and it's a Clodsire. I got stun locked, and I waited like 2 turns there, and I gave the Clodsire 3 free poison stings instead of 2. So that's a little unfortunate for me, but nevertheless, we're going to go straight Flying Press, as 1, it's single resisted, and 2, it's the more efficient charge move to throw in this situation. Realistically, there's not anything we're going to be able to do. It's a Sludge Bomb Clodsire as well. We're going to be able to land an Acrobatics on it, guaranteed, but an Acrobatics landing is not going to save this game. Acrobatics onto the Clodsire. We are now about to get Sludge Bombed. Not the best feeling ever. Sludge Bomb takes us very, very low. In comes the Feraligatr. I'm firing off yet another Acrobatics, as I kind of have to, otherwise I'm getting Shadow Clawed down. But when the Clodsire returns, we're just going to get Poison Sting down instead. They still have a shield, and this game is over. GG's. Okay, generally an electric type would love to see this next lead. It is Galarian Moltres. However, I say generally because Pikachu Libre looks as if it's taking super effective damage from Sucker Punch. We're going to be able to fire off a Thunder Punch at the Galarian Moltres, and they aren't going to shield it because we're a Pikachu, and yeah, Pikachu has a relative attack stat to something like Cradily, so it's not like you're like super glassy and also can hit like a, I don't know, Shadow Primeape. No, you hit like a Cradily and you have the defensive profile of like a Love Disc. It's not a good time. Nevertheless, we're going to fire off a Skull Bash at the incoming Blastoise. They are going to shield it up because we are able to outpace them. And what is happening? Do you guys notice that there's no fast move or charge move animations? What is this? Okay, whatever. I guess we just let the Lapras go from here. No, we are going to shield it up, looking to reach a last-second Skull Bash here. They might be able to outpace me, so I am going to attempt to catch onto Jumpluff. Unfortunately, no catch is to be, but I will be able to make a last-second Aerial Ace. This shouldn't be enough to KO the Blastoise. Unfortunately, their defense has been boosted. They bring in a Typhlosion. The Incinerates are invisible, but they are hitting very, very hard. I'm going to be able to fire off an Aerial Ace at the Typhlosion, and this is a pretty bad spot for me, but they overfarm way too much for absolutely no reason. They could have just KO'd me there and probably won the game straight up. Acrobatics KOs the Typhlosion. In comes the Gmolt. Gmolt unfortunately Sucker Punches down both the Jumpluff and the Lapras, and we lose a pretty close game. Alolan Sandslash on lead. You know what? I've seen worse. I am going to look to play this matchup out, as once again Pikachu Libre has a pacing advantage, whereas it's 5-4 to Flying Press, it is straight 5 to Ice Punch. We are going to easily shield up an Ice Punch, as it probably would KO. They're not even going to go for Drill Run because they're pretty confident in the Drill Run or the Ice Punch being enough to KO, and they're absolutely right. I fire off the Thunder Punch in case they attempt to catch, and now I'm firing off the Flying Press. We will be able to win the 2-shield scenario here without getting farmed down, which is a new statement for Pikachu Libre, as it doesn't win anything ever. We are going to be able to catch their last second Ice Punch, however, without having to give up our shield onto our Lapras. They can bank a bunch of Alolan Sandslash energy and then bring in a hard counter, and that isn't necessarily a hard counter because we are not in Ice Beam Lapras. Ice Beam Lapras did see an uptick after Giratina got released. However, we are on Skull Bash. If we see a Giratina with this team, we're probably just going to leave the match. That's not going to work out. Nevertheless, we are going to fire off the Skull Bash, get Play Rough, but fortunately this one isn't on Hydro Pump by now. We're going to be able to reach another Skull Bash and now look to KO the Azu with this second Skull Bash. This Lapras is now super beefed up. They live on 1 HP, and that is so nice because we get an extra Psy Wave, and they're not able to throw their move. They had the move there, but the Psy Wave will take priority. They're going to fire off a move with their Alolan Sandslash, looking to get rid of the Lapras. However, Lapras is not in too bad of a spot here. We are going to get Shadow Clawed down just as we make the Sparkling Aria. I'm going to throw one Thunder Shock and fire off the Flying Press. Oh no, it's Feraligatr. Uh-oh. Feraligatr tanks the Flying Press, no problem at all. And now it's all up to Jumpluff. Jumpluff going to fire off an Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is required to pick up the knockout up against the Feraligatr. And fortunately, it is just enough. They're going to bring back in their Sandslash, but I think they're doubled up here. I should have thrown the Aerial Ace when I had it. I go for committing to the Acrobatics, and we're not going to be able to win this game. Ice Punch KOs the Jumpluff. In comes Pikachu Libre looking to make a Flying Press, but at the last second we get farmed down. GG's. You know what? I'll take it. Pikachu Libre leading into Cradily. Hopefully this is a better time for the Libre. We are going to have a strict pacing advantage up against the Cradily, and actually Pikachu Libre wins CMP on average versus Cradily by about 1.1 points. We are going to shield up a Rock Tomb. Not even joking, a Rock Tomb would KO us from this range. So I'm going to go for yet another Flying Press on the CMP tie, and they bring in Gligar. Hold on. Unfortunately, we aren't in the best spot because they caught our Flying Press, but we can bank the Flying Press for later, bring in the Lapras, and now Gligar is going to be forced to throw energy at the Lapras, which is a lot less impactful than if it landed on the Pikachu Libre. As you can see there, not really too much damage from that dig. Unfortunately, I play into a CMP tie that I do not win. I need to throw one Psywave earlier, and they are able to reach another dig. That is terrible news for us. I'm going to go for the Sparkling Aria because I want to leave this Gligar in farm down range. They get away with 1 HP, and unfortunately, they bring in Jellicent. I have to throw a Sparkling Aria. I'm at 100 HP, and I will lose this energy if I don't throw here. So I'm going to go for the Sparkling Aria onto the Jellicent, bring in the Jumpluff, and Jumpluff can never shield a move. If this is a rare Unicorn Ice Beam Jellicent, I lose the game, but fortunately they're on Shadow Ball. The Hexes are adding up to the point where the second Shadow Ball is going to come close to KOing, but not be enough. They are going to go for Shadow Ball number 2. Shadow Ball number 2, we're just able to live it with our Jumpluff. And now Aerial Ace is going to have to do the trick here, because if it doesn't, we're in a terrible spot. We're going for the double Aerial Ace. Unfortunately, double Aerial Ace will be enough to get rid of the Jellicent. Jellicent is going to go down there. They still have a shield remaining. In comes the Cradily. This is getting exceedingly close. We're going for the Sparkling Aria with our Lapras. We have not shown Skull Bash yet. They shielded up, and now they've got super effective Flying Presses coming their way. This is a very, very close game. Jellicent is down. Gligar's alive in the back with 1 HP, but this is a shieldless Cradily. They are going to go for the Rock Tomb to lower our offensive capability here. We are going to shield that up very easily. They fail to catch on the Gligar, losing track of the energy with the Libre, and that's a win. GG's. Getting into the next game, it is a terrible lead. Up against Diggersby, you might think, you have the single best fighting type charge move in the game. What's the problem here? Well, the problem is that Pikachu has a stat product of 1000, and Diggersby can probably go straight Fire Punch and win this matchup. As you can see, the Flying Press isn't even enough to two-shot the Diggersby there, and Thunder Shocks are not going to be enough to get the farm down either, so I have to pivot out into Lapras, risking a potential debuff. They are going to bring in their Sableye as their Lapras response. I am going to go for the Sparkling Aria. This is a pretty tough spot for me, all things considered, because my Lapras is never going to be aligned onto the Diggersby kind of where it needs to be. We're going to basically need to land either an Acrobatics or another Flying Press onto the Diggersby to get the KO. Sableye is going to be able to go for the Power Gem for the knockout up against our Lapras, and now they go for a second Power Gem. I'm going to commit to the farm down. If they make another move here, it's not enough. That is only a foul play, and although it is Shadow on Shadow, I know Jumpluff will be able to handily survive that move. We have bigger things to worry about, like this Shadow Dusknoir. Shadow Dusknoir is going to be tasked with tanking an Acrobatics or shielding up. The Acrobatics sneaks through 2 shields. We're looking for the farm down. They're going to be able to make a last second move here. I'm going for a full farm down. They are looking to likely pivot out here. We bring in the Pikachu, looking to land a Flying Press, putting some pressure on this Diggersby. We are not going to be able to make 2 Flying Presses unless the opponent makes a very massive error. Unfortunately, they do not, and now Scorching Sands will easily KO Pikachu Libre. We are going to go down there. We have a lot of residual energy with our Jumpluff. I basically send it all on if they call a bait or not, but they shield our Acrobatics, and we're getting Quick Attack down. I think this Acrobatics would need to be enough to KO the Diggersby, but it simply will not do 50%, and it's a CMP tie to their Fire Punch. We were in 1 Quick Attack range anyway, but if that did pick up the knockout, it was very close because that Dusknoir survived on 1 HP. Pikachu Libre leading into Jumpluff in the next game, and I don't have a response to this Pokemon. This is a non-Shadow Jumpluff. This is screaming Energy Ball to me. I'm going to go for a Thunder Punch and basically just have to lose this matchup. I'm going to no-shield whatever they throw here, but if it's an Energy Ball, Pikachu Libre may just get KO'd here. It's an Energy Ball. It does about 90% to the Pikachu. You would have thought it was a Water type. I'm going to go for another Thunder Punch here, as I can't really bring anything into this Pokemon, especially with it being on Energy Ball. My only answer here is my own Jumpluff, and I'm calling that they are going to be on Acrobatics, and I'm not going to no-shield an Aerial Ace here. They are on Twin Nukes, so the Acrobatics is thrown, and now I'm going to fire off an Aerial Ace looking to pick up the knockout. I don't think it's going to be enough. They're going to shield it regardless. I'm not going to be able to make that Aerial Ace, so I'm going to catch their Acrobatics onto my Lapras, and hope that the core of Lapras and Jumpluff will be able to sweep whatever they have in back. In the back, they do have a Blastoise. Blastoise unfortunately outpaces Lapras to the first Skull Bash, so I have to fire off a Sparkling Aria. They would have either made it on CMP or one turn before, because they were, I think, decently slow on the switch, but I'm going to have to take a Skull Bash here. I'm getting KO'd there. Bringing back in the Jumpluff, looking to commit to in Acrobatics, but unfortunately we haven't even seen their third Pokemon. This is only their second Pokemon, and that's also only a Hydro Cannon. I'm going for the Aerial Ace, or Acrobatics here rather. Acrobatics onto the Blastoise is going to be enough to pick up the knockout even with the boosted defense. Now what do they decide to bring in? It's going to be Feraligatr. I'm going to look to fire off my Acrobatics. They fire off what could be a Crunch. I think I have to shield this move up. It's a Hydro Cannon bait, and I think we have just lost this game. Firing off the Acrobatics onto the Feraligatr. We weren't going to get rid of this Feraligatr regardless. They have a shield remaining, so I have to look to double up here. They go for the Hydro Cannon, and they bring in their Jumpluff. We're doubled up on moves, but they have a shield. One Pokemon can get KO'd, they can shield the second move and go for the Shadow Claw farm down. My only win con there was either they get one turn bring in and a Fairy Wind KOs, or that I force a draw with a Fairy Wind KOing and the Shadow Claw also KOing at the same time. Nevertheless, into the next one, Talonflame up against PIKACHU Libre. We are going to stay in here, fire off 2 Thunder Punches. The first one after 7 Thunder Shocks for optimal fast move timing. They're going to fire off a move immediately here, and this is okay for me. I'm going to shield up, and unfortunately it's a Flame Charge, which means I think we're just straight up getting incinerated down in 2 more here, unfortunately, which is super bad, but I'm going to throw another Thunder Punch, then pivot out into Lapras. Now that the Talonflame doesn't have any shields, they can go for either a boosted Brave Bird if they're running a moveset from 3 years ago, or more recently a boosted Fly. They stay in with their Talonflame, which is only going to get met with a Sparkling Aria. That may have been an overtap. I don't know why we would stay in that long with the Talonflame there, but it makes a little more sense as their ABA Flyer. I really hope this person does not see a competent electric type on the lead, because if they do, they might lose the game. Unfortunately, I have a Pikachu on the lead, so that's not really the best case scenario, but I'm bringing in the Pikachu, looking to make a Thunder Punch here, and I don't even think I'm going to be able to. I'm going to shield up. Air Cutter is going to be shielded, and unfortunately, they have a Gastrodon in the back. If I was able to pivot out of the Pikachu in time, I would have been in a good spot there, but unfortunately, the damage registers, and I am going to get KO'd. In comes Jumpluff. Jumpluff has a fantastic matchup up against the Gastrodon, but the problem is that, unfortunately, we don't have enough juice in the tank here. We're going to take a couple of Body Slams on the way to getting the KO onto the Gastrodon, and then we have the problem of the Corviknight to deal with. I'm going to fire off an Aerial Ace, but I do it on CMP, and I think that loses me the game. Body Slam onto the Jumpluff gets us ever so slightly closer to Air Cutter plus Farm Down range, or just double Air Cutter range. And I am going to need an Acrobatics plus an Aerial Ace, I believe. I might even need double Acrobatics from this range. Air Cutter is going to do a sizable amount. They get the Air Cutter boost. I don't think it's going to make the Sandslash do any more than 1 damage, but we're just so low. Yeah, we needed 2 full Acrobatics there, and we made a couple misplays that we're not going to allow that to happen. In the next game, PIKACHU Libre into Scizor. I am going to stay in here and look to pressure the Scizor with the Flying Press. I'm going to, oh, they actually go for a move here on 7. Bullet Punches tearing through the PIKACHU Libre as if it doesn't have a Steel Resist. They go for the Trailblaze, and now these Bullet Punches are only going to hit harder. Going for the Flying Press, going to grab a shield from the Scizor, undertapping the next Flying Press, and the Scizor is staying in. I have to pivot out here because PIKACHU Libre is getting farmed down if I decide to stay in there. And I pivot out into my Jumpluff, and it is answered with a Cradily, but up energy Jumpluff can put up quite a good fight here, especially because we are also up a shield. We should be able to cleanly get rid of this Cradily, and I'm going to shield up whatever move they throw because we are 1 turn ahead of the Cradily. Going for another Acrobatics here, and this is pretty decent for us. Acrobatics KOs the Cradily, and this is everything we could have asked for. We're going to look to make an Acrobatics up against the Scizor as well. We are very low with our Jumpluff now. I'm going for another Acrobatics. Maybe they didn't think that I had it here. They didn't switch, so Acrobatics is just cleanly going to knock out the Scizor. In comes an Annihilape in the back. And if this Annihilape has close combat, we might just very well lose this game. Come on, Lapras. Sparkling Aria gets them pretty low, and now it's all up to this. Do they have close combat? That is the question. Annihilape goes for the close combat. Down goes Lapras. We need Fairy Wind chip here, and they are going to top left, realizing that the Fairy Winds have done too much damage. And in the next game, it's going to be a Dusclops lead. Not at all what we're hoping to see here, but we are going to just no-shield the first move, as it is a Dusclops, one of the least hard-hitting Pokemon in the Great League meta. Unfortunately, that still did quite a lot of damage, and then they bring in their Cradily. This is an interesting play because 2 Flying Presses and the energy lead that we have been gifted to get these 2 Flying Presses will be enough to get rid of the Cradily, so they are forced to shield there. And now I'm going to make another Flying Press if they don't throw. I don't think it's worth a shield here, but I'm actually going to go for it because I know I can get another Flying Press off and get this Cradily very, very low. I don't think this is going to be enough to KO with the Rock Tomb debuff, but let's see it. The Flying Press is just enough to KO, and now they're likely going to bring in the Clops. No, they bring in Marowak, but without switch advantage, this game is a straight-up loss for our opponent, as we're going to bring in our Lapras, and Dusclops cannot win that game. We've now made it to the final game of the video, thank goodness, and it is Pikachu Libre staring down a Claydol. Claydol, definitely a Pokemon that was a lot more common in seasons past, but it does have a very good lead into the meme Pokemon I'm running today. Going for the Skull Bash up against the Blastoise safe switch. They stayed in too long, so we're able to cleanly make a Skull Bash well before the Blastoise is. I'm going to no shield, hoping for a Hydro Cannon bait, but they full send the Skull Bash. I think I should be able to make another Skull Bash before they're able to make Skull Bash of their own. I think they had the Hydro there, so they could have potentially won CMP. Opted not to, taking a lot of damage here. They're going to be forced to throw a move here. I don't think the next rollout would have KO'd. It may have been a 1 HP survivor, which would have let us reach a Sparkling Aria. My opponent not keen on letting that happen. We're going to bring in Pikachu Libre. Unfortunately, Libre is going to be forced with taking a Hydro Cannon here, but this is okay. We don't need the Libre anyway, we need the energy lead with our Jumpluff, and with that Skull Bash boost from earlier, we are fortunately able to get just that. An energy lead of 3 Fairy Winds on the Jumpluff. In comes a Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff going to be chipping away at our HP ever so slightly. Now, we need another Acrobatics here. We're able to get this Acrobatics off before they get their Icy Wind debuff applied, and that is very, very important. Because if I didn't, I don't know if the combination of an Aerial Ace plus an Acrobatics would have been enough to KO. I'm going to fire off a move onto the Wigglytuff. They go for the Icy Wind, and now we are going to go for as much energy generation as we can, then go for an Aerial Ace, KOing the Wigglytuff here, and now they're going to fire off a Rock Tomb at my Jumpluff. I'm going to go for possibly the most obvious play ever. I'm going to throw 7 Fairy Winds, switch into the Pikachu Libre to clear my debuff, and they threw their energy. This game is now over off the back of that play, as they're not going to be able to reach a Rock Tomb before we're able to get to the double Acrobatics. Acrobatics number 1, massive damage onto the Claydol. We commit to Acrobatics number 2 because we're able to, and off the back of our debuff getting reset, we're able to take the win. GG's. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. If you get a Hundo Pikachu Libre, I would sincerely advise against building it unless you want to lose a lot. Sure, do it. What can I say? I lost 700 ELO running this Pokemon. It's in the 3100s when I started this challenge, and I dropped all the way down to like 2490 something, so lost about 700 ELO. Was it worth it? Probably not. Anyway, I just happen to have an abundance of Stardust after that Gigantamax battle day, and I didn't do a whole lot of Eternamaxing because that was a scam. Yeah. Anyway, we're getting into Season 24 in just a couple hours here, so if you guys are interested in my analysis, I'll be sure to have a video out later this week going over all the changes once they are in the game and we have a certain idea of what all the stats for all the new moves are. Currently, right now, we have some things, but not all, and a lot of the new moves, like Charm getting reworked and Dragon Tail getting reworked, are open to interpretation and speculation, and so I'll speak on them a little more once we have a for sure idea. Nevertheless, with all that being said, I've been Shmeaty. I hope to see you all again next season. But until then, as always, have a good rest of your day. See ya.